Right.
But that is still the number one murder weapon. Still.
Because it's availability, it's familiarity.
And it's kind of like, what's the number one item stolen from somebody's home? What's the number one item stolen from someone's house? The Bible. Why? Because of, again, the probability.
Yeah.
So
people think there's money in there and things like that, right?
The whole reason for this program is to get people familiar with guns. To get people familiar with the safety, with the cleaning, with the understanding, the workmanship of the gun, different types of guns, how to properly handle a gun, how to shoot a gun, what not to do with a gun, what to do with a gun, how to properly use a gun. And I say properly use a gun is not using it and putting it on a shelf, but using it and shooting a target, and how to understand that target, and all of these different dimensions.
Well, it's that, and it's also legalities. I mean, especially in this state, what's going to happen if someone comes in your home?
If they come into your home and you shoot them, let's say that they're just trying to steal. Let's say that you've got a Mickey Mantle baseball card there, and it's worth $1,000, and you don't want to lose your Mickey Mantle baseball card, so you grab your gun and you shoot them. You are going to jail.
More than likely. So a lot of times, if someone is breaking into your home, so if they're in your four walls, and they're coming in there to commit a crime,
but they still haven't posed a threat.
You are allowed to use lethal force because that is a threat. Now, if you ask them, hey, why are you here? Say, hey, I'm just going to steal your baseball card, and you know that, and they can prove that, you might have a problem. But for the most part, if somebody makes entrance into your home, you have a family, you have a firearm, you protect yourself with it. Now, if you, again, we'll go back to your love of cars. What's your favorite car right now that you own?
My Bullet.
Your Bullet. So let's say you go outside and there's a guy, you see him on your cameras from the inside of your house, he's out in your driveway and he's stealing your Bullet. If you go out there and shoot him, then you're going to jail because he's not a threat to you at that point. There's no way to say, hey, this could possibly be a threat to me. So in a home, we can make that argument. The other thing is in a mass shooter situation. If someone's over here shooting a bunch of people, let's say you're at church and he comes in and starts firing off, that expectation for you to give him a warning, say, hey, knock it off, you don't have to do that because he's already shown himself to be a deadly threat. So there's ways that we can get around those sort of things, but we don't, where you're heading is correct. We don't generally want to intend to protect property with deadly force.
I've heard so many stories of somebody breaking into someone's house and homie shoots him, and that's it. The dude's dead, and homie gets locked up. Now, I've also heard the other side where, a guy's daughter gets raped, and he goes out and just blows the head off of the dude that raped his daughter, and then he gets a slap on the wrist. I think a lot of us would do the same thing.
Yeah, and it depends on it really depends on your prosecutor as well. It depends on, this state is going to not be very friendly.
No, they're not. This is California.
This is California, so they're going to try to prosecute you.
Oh,
no
shnikes.
we are, so Robert and I have a discussion. One of the things is, would we, a lot like we're talking political stuff and how we're viewed again as people, right? So when we're warning people not to advance towards us and things like that because we don't want to be hurt, we want to be very clear in our instructions. So if someone's coming at me, I would say, hey, stop, or I don't want to have to shoot you, knock it off. I don't want to be cursing at him, yelling at him, and threatening, because then if you're at a bus stop and you say, oh, that guy just started cursing, pulled the gun out and shot the guy, then you look bad, right?
Oh yeah, you do.
And it's all perception. So I'm sure you've heard of the ban on high capacity magazines that we've had for a while, back and forth. Do you realize that there is no such thing as a high capacity magazine?
Now, I'd like to, we're already at 19 minutes. It's so funny because, there's so much to talk about in this show.
Absolutely.
That, we could just go on forever.
We could.
So
days and days.
You've got, okay, let's talk ARs, because you've got a magazine that's got,
however many rounds.
Yeah.
California, it's 10.
Okay.
So 10 is a reduced capacity magazine.
Okay.
It's a California thing.
Okay.
The 15 round magazines that normally come, or sometimes 30 with those AR-15s, are standard capacity magazines.
Okay.
Those ones that we're carrying here legally were created because California wanted less capacity.
Okay.
It is actually a fallacy that more rounds equal more damage. It doesn't. You
More
don't even,
damage comes from skill set.
It's more skill set. It's more what you're shooting. It's more what your intent is. Most mass shooters, especially if they just want body counts so they can get notoriety, right? Most of those guys, if you go back and you examine all of those cases, most of them didn't even take advantage of 10 rounds in their magazines. They would be dropping them because they're nervous and they're trying to get stuff going, or they get a jam. The larger capacity of the magazine, the more increased chances that you'll have a jam, you'll have a double feed, you'll have to clear it and start again. So really a misnomer. It's really people come up with stuff just because they want to try and do something. And let's actually say what's obvious here. We're making laws, and the laws, people like me and you follow the law. That's what we do. If they say, hey, you can only have 10 rounds, and you say, okay, well, it's the law. I want to be a law-abiding citizen, so I'm going to pay attention to that.
Unless we're talking about decibel levels on our Harleys.
Maybe that. But
the louder the pipes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't ride motorcycle. That's why I look a little puzzled. I haven't gotten to that world too much myself yet.
You gotta talk
if I get another
that.
hobby, my wife will probably be a little upset with the more money spent.
Let's do this.
But my point here is that if we tell a law-abiding citizen, you're supposed to do this. This is our law. We're going to follow that for the most part,
Correct.
right? Do you really think a criminal who is bent on mass destruction say, "Oh man, they only said I could have 10 rounds in my magazine. I better not go in there."
Not only that, he's going to make sure that his mask is on so no one gets COVID.
Of course. I mean, they always follow the rules.
Oh yeah, they.
I mean, that's why those gun-free zones are so effective.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh wow, I was going to kill people, but they say no guns. I mean,
I know.
So,
and he didn't have window tint on his car.
right. So you're creating laws that restrict law-abiding citizens to make them a target.
It doesn't make any sense.
Criminals don't follow laws. We've learned that. We learned that.
Well, look at what happened last night.
Exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. That it is illegal to shoot anybody, particularly police officers. And I'm not making light of this, but criminals do not care about laws.
All right, let's talk about the class. Let's talk about, if people are still watching at 23 minutes, no, you know what? This is the longest I've filmed a show in probably 2 years.
Yeah, I think we had a lot on our minds today.
And, we both came in here pissed off, and I think that we feel a little bit better. I think we vented a lot today. But talk to me about the class, the importance of the class, and kind of what we should expect.
If the reason these classes are important, and like I said, we have 3 slots left for Saturday's women's class. We have 7 slots left for the pistol class on the 29th, which is a Friday. I know it's a weird day, but it's the day we could get. It's going to teach you how to, if you're a new owner of a firearm, or you're considering a purchase, it's going to tell you from the beginning to the end what is going to be the safe way to handle that gun, what's going to be the legalities of you using it. It's going to teach you, hey, do I want to just be the guy who has, or gal, who has a gun in my house in case someone comes and bothers me, or do I want to actually take to that next level and carry that gun every day? And there's obviously a lot more classes.
Especially with what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're carrying money around, you're doing stuff like that. I mean, and really anybody. It's like, so right now, I have more peace of mind knowing that if I'm out with my family and someone comes along, I do have a means to defend them.
I have a friend who's got a CCW, and somebody opened up his door, put a gun in his face, and said, "Give me your car." And he says, "No, you don't." Like that. And that was it. The guy turned around and walked away. Had that not happened, it could have been over. It could have been lights out. The 29th, what time is that class?
That class is at 8 a.m. It goes until 2 p.m.
Okay. I already have plans that day. I'm gonna have to move my schedule. Okay.
So we actually have range time as well, and I know your wife will tell you, as someone who didn't shoot a lot before that class, even within that little couple hours that we spend on the range, you'll make pretty good progress on hitting things. I mean, your wife and both of her friends that came along ended up being really good shots by the end of the time.
Well, one of them works for the FBI.
Well, she was already. But I'm glad you brought her up, because she was a joy to have in class. But even having her come in and having a really good knowledge of shooting, a couple little adjustments, she was even better just within a matter of about half an hour. Mm-hmm. So we can always improve, and you shouldn't come in being afraid of the thing. Come in and try it. Yeah, you may decide, hey, you know what, guns aren't for me. I shouldn't have done this. Yeah,
it's so funny. I'd say the same thing about motorcycle training. Let's take a training class.
You may like, you may not.
You may, I'm not doing. Get me away from this thing.
Right. And there's been people that have done that. They're afraid of the firearm. They don't want to do it. That's okay. if you bought one and you don't like it anymore, I might even buy it from you. Never, my wife's gonna watch this video and say, "Well,
no, you're not.
People are gonna do that." So yeah, it's gonna be, and with that particular class, having that basic pistol thing happening, it's going basic, and we're gonna touch on intermediate and advanced things that happen as well, so that we know what we're doing. But it's really a safety thing. It's like, how am I gonna safely have this in my home? How am I going to safely operate it? You know, little things that obviously you'll point the gun at people and things like that, unless you plan on doing something with it. You don't run around with the fingers on the trigger. My kids think it's kind of funny. Is I have one of those little assault rifles that you kill the flies with.
Yeah, the assault rifle.
The assault rifle. So when I carry this thing around, if I don't have a target, my finger's off the trigger and it's pointed in a safe direction, just because it's habit. It just has to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll teach you things like that. We'll make sure that having those things are safe in your home. And I know other firearms instructors that do this all the time. And I don't want to teach new people. I don't want to do that. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
That's what it's all about.
It's about teaching new people.
Correct.
It's about for me. It's about just showing people what the American gun owner really is about.
Correct.
We're not bad people. We just happen to enjoy firearms. It's just like you happen to enjoy motorcycles. You don't run over people with your motorcycle. I don't go out and shoot people.
And I don't go out and do wheelies either.
Right.
Imagine that.
I don't look myself in the mirror and say, "Hey, who can I shoot today?" No.
Well, no, and it was just crazy because I just watched a video the other day about my Mustang Bullet. And they were talking about some lady goes, we need to restrict how fast these cars are and blah 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 blah. I'm like, I've got probably one of the fastest cars. It's called a Bullet. It literally is like one of the fastest production cars on the road. It's all muscle. It's got drag racing bars, and I mean it's ridiculous.
Right.
And I don't go 140 miles an hour on a free. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the fastest you've taken the car? And I thought about it and I went, maybe 85.
Yeah, dude, it's there. But again, Robert, that goes back to who you are, who I am. We follow the rules.
I want to have fun with the car too, but that's why I put a helmet on and I go out to the track with it. I mean,
so people, again, if it's a car, if it's a gun, I don't care what, if it's a butter knife, it's the intent behind the person using it. It's not the tool.
Correct.
It's never the tool. My daughters, both of them shoot competitively. They don't consider.
Isn't one of them in archery?
They're both in archery, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm an archery instructor and coach, and both my kids shoot archer. Are both archers. Katie shoots shotgun. Ashley doesn't like shotgun. They both like pistol. They both like rifle. So never does it enter their mind that this is. We don't even call them weapons. They're firearms. It's a tool. I mean, for trap and for rifle and pistol, that is a piece of sports equipment in their minds.
Correct.
That's what they're using it for.
Correct.
It's not it's the intent behind it. That's why no law will ever stop crime.
Ever.
Because the people who follow laws already aren't making crimes. They're not doing it.
Correct.
So go after the people who can maybe keep some people in jail that belong there. That'd be a good start.
Yeah.
Maybe support all law enforcement. Education is huge.
Education is very important. It's the same reason why it's the reason why we have such a high poverty rate is education. As soon as if people read a couple of books on business or a couple of books, read a couple of my books, your mindset would change. Once you realize how to do something, you realize we don't know what we don't know.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, all right. What's your website, brother?
So the website is sheepdogdefensivetraining.net. Okay. We have full schedules on there. We put our classes up as they're available. Got a really cool system where you can just book an appointment and take one of the spots in class, and you're off and running.
Okay. And then what's your telephone?
Telephone's 916-548-5326. Call us there anytime. We also have sheepdogdefensivetraining@gmail.com, and as you know, we have the Facebook page that you can contact us there. You can go to the links on the website, or you can just send us a message if you have a question. We answer questions within 48 hours.
Oh yeah, quick, very quick, actually, very, very quick. I put the posts on my social media. It's hey Lamar, there's a question on there. Boom, 3 minutes, it's taken care of. Yeah.
And we do monitor that inbox to the messenger fairly
awesome.
closely.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
You too.
Absolutely. All right, guys, give them a call. Learn about how to protect your family, how to protect your friends, how to protect your community. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.